Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe. Welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Summers Kristy.
I'm Kristy Jansen, and we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 21st of April, 2021. Well, hello, Kristy. Happy Wednesday. How are you today?
Good morning, Summers. Happy Wednesday to you. I am well, and I'm just really pleased that I have continued to sort of have this newfound sense of positivity and productivity. And I am grateful every morning that I wake up with a sense that I can actually show up in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so happy that you have that space and that you continue to feel good and positive. I likewise am feeling pretty good this morning. I think we all know that I had my COVID shot the other day. While so many people have had the opportunity to have their vaccines, and actually over 50% of adult Americans have had one shot or more, I read that statistic. That still means there are 50% who have not. So if you have not yet had your COVID shot, I am here to report currently that the first shot is just like kind of rough on your arm. It's like a little punch in the arm. But other than that, no problem at all. Very easy. I feel very good. And I do, like you, Kristy, I think you started to feel this after you got your first shot. I am beginning to feel just like a tiny bit more spacious, you know? It's nice to have had this and to know that I am protecting my family and I am protecting my children and I am protecting those around me and I am protecting myself. So kind of excited. I'm also excited to report that the squirrels love my bird feeders. So,
I just was reading a tech gadget update, and they have now got bird feeders you can get that also have motion activated cameras to help you like record all the critters. Which I think you should. I'll send you that link.
I was going to say, I think this sounds like this must be a half birthday gift for me, Kristy. No, I love that idea. I would love to, because I, sit here and I watch all these creatures sort of flitting about in my yard. Yesterday, I saw two gorgeous green, chameleon green lizards. I don't know exactly what kind they are, and dozens of birds. And as you know, I went to the rally to protect our ponds and prevent this permit from being issued without an effective solution for wastewater. I think, we had a meeting with somebody the other day who suggested that my Roomba should have an Instagram account. But perhaps my bird feeder should.
I have to tell you, then the other thing, this is something good that you might want to do for your husband, but they're now coming out with basically a Roomba for lawn care.
Oh, yes. I saw that, the Wall Street Journal article, right? Yes.
It's like a lawnmower.
A Loomba?
Yeah. A Loomba, yeah, I guess.
Okay, the reason I make that joke is because we do have a pool here in our home. And there is a robot that cleans our pool, which our kids decided to call Pumbaa. So we can have a Roomba, a Pumbaa, and a Loomba, and a squirrel cam on the bird feeder.
Yes. So, and you never know. Maybe there's a couple birds that also, dive in there when you're not looking.
Maybe the squirrels are pretty determined. But, I got to thinking, I was like, what, is it really bad to feed squirrels? It's kind of like when your dog drinks out of the toilet, you're like, oh, don't do that. And then you're like, but why? Why not? Why can't a squirrel eat my bird feed?
Well, hey, it's part of nature. It's all part of the fabric of nature. And
an effective use of wastewater, dogs drinking from toilets.
Right. Speaking of effective use of waste, and, finding new uses for otherwise things that were intended to do other things. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I want to talk about your socks, not yours in particular. Yours too, but everybody's socks, right? Socks, as we all know, apparel is a huge source of waste, right? There is so much clothing that just ends up in landfill, and even clothing that is donated oftentimes can end up in landfill because there's just too much of it. Well, what we need to do is create more circularity around apparel. And in particular, this company is taking on your dirty, holy socks. Well, your washed and then subsequently dirty, or your dirty but then washed socks. Okay, the headline reads, this apparel company wants to recycle your old socks into dog beds. Now, as I currently sit, my dog is laying next to her dog bed because apparently the hardwood floor is more comfortable. But many people purchase dog beds and many people wear socks. And this company, Smartwool is the name of the company, wants to change that. The most frequently discarded pieces of apparel are your socks. The reason that socks are more likely to be discarded and not donated, most organizations won't take old socks, right? And I think we had another company a while back that was recycling underwear as well. You can't donate
Yeah.
socks or underwear.
No.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
there's,
But then there's like jeans that get turned into insulation or mattress filling.
yep. And so what this company has said, Smartwool, is basically at, 11 million tons of textile waste are landfilled in just 2018. And 3.2 million were incinerated. We all know that releasing carbon by way of fire is not exactly the option. So, although socks didn't make up the bulk of the waste, a lot of consumers just don't know what to do with them. Smartwool partnered with Material Return, a North Carolina based company that turns textile waste into new products. They are going to welcome the creation of dog beds from your washed old socks that have holes in them. And these dog beds were going to be on sale for a limited edition product and available to purchase from their stores later this year. I just think this is really, really fun. The
It
organization,
is.
I guess one of the leaders at Material Run says, in
You
terms of
keep calling it material run, but it's
return,
material return.
I know I do keep calling it that. They should probably rebrand, or I've had too much coffee. Anyway, in terms of where we're going, dog beds, that's just the beginning, says Chin. Ultimately, our goal here is to work with Material Return to actually take those stocks, turn them back into yarn, and then be able to create new products out of them. Sky is the limit to where we go from here. So they're taking those socks and moving them into lots of different products. I think it's just a really, really fun marketing. Sometimes we need these marketing gimmicks to draw the attention. So
Sure.
socks to dog
But
beds is darling, but socks to other products is really, really valuable.
the thing that I find really intriguing about this story is actually how it's looking at the idea of bringing circularity into different industries and different products and looking at where are the waste streams and then
Mhm.
what can we do with those. And the idea of turning out dog beds now there's like what a million more dog owners in this country now that after the pandemic when everybody went out and emptied out all the shelters and got their puppy for their kids and those
Yep.
dogs now
Yep.
part of our families. And I think in some areas of the country, there's more dogs than there are children.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats are really, they're kind of our kids in a lot of places. But so it's an interesting concept to focus on dog beds. And I think, but the idea of bringing recycling and circularity into other areas, not just bottles or cans or tin foil,
Hmm.
or paper, but our fabrics and actually being able to bring these down back into yarn. I think this is really interesting. And it's just a trend that I think we'll be seeing more and more as new companies, new entrepreneurs try to figure out what are the waste streams that we can reuse and recycle.
Well, and I love the use of the phrase waste stream because really this is fundamentally no different than looking at ways of repurposing gray water, right? This is something that most people think is just dumpable, right? Your old sock with a hole in it and unmatched socks because the dryers eat half of them. Well, actually, these are all valuable resources that can be reworked into something that have another life. And this week,
So,
since it's Earth Week and Healthy Kitchens Week,
yeah.
we are all about reworking things that were previously seen as waste streams and moving them into other lives and pumping some viability back into markets.
Yeah.
Do you
And
have some viability?
well,
Exactly.
well, I just want my transition here actually is in another idea that used to be kind of out there, which is now becoming kind of mainstream. Just like
Yeah.
circularity used to be kind of out there. It's been around as a concept for decades. Well, and probably it's going back into our prior mindsets in earlier centuries in this country and in this world of using everything you can in creative ways. So bringing that circularity in, that's a new idea. That's actually an old idea, which has really become more mainstream. Another new idea, which has been around for decades, but now is finally breaking through into the mainstream, is universal basic income. And the headline that I wanted to highlight today from today's Optimist Daily, and it's a funny one because it kind of is an Earth Day solution, even though it's not directly focused on Earth Day. But the headline reads, LA could become the largest US city with a guaranteed income program. We've talked often on the Optimist Daily about the idea of UBI, universal basic income or guaranteed income programs. We've been reporting on the one that's been going on in Stockton. We have talked about how even the rebates that Alaskans get from their oil exploration project, that's kind of a guaranteed income. Well, Los Angeles is now set to become the largest US city with a guaranteed income program for poor residents if Mayor Eric Garcetti gains the approval from City Council this week to set aside $24 million in next year's city budget to implement a $1,000 monthly payment to 2,000 low income families in the city. And this is, I mean, we've all actually experienced some basic income in this last year with the various stimulus direct payments that have been implemented in the United States. And so this is now, not only is it mainstream thinking, but it's actually something that most Americans have some experience with. And as the studies in Stockton have showed, when you give people money, typically they use it for basic necessities, and it doesn't actually reduce their interest in working. It actually boosts them out of being forced to take subpar jobs to being able to find the right kinds of employment that will actually be easier for them to live and survive. So in Los Angeles is an interesting location to test this out on a bigger scale because 1 in 5 Los Angeles residents is actually defined at or below the poverty line. This is part of why Los Angeles has such a massive homelessness issue, and affordable housing is really a challenge in LA. So this, according to Garcetti, and I think this is a really astute observation, as Garcetti says, I'm quoting him, this is one of the cheapest insertions of resources to permanently change people's lives. How many decades are we going to keep fighting a war on poverty with the same old results? And that is what development economists are finding. That's what different social science researchers are finding, is when you actually give people money, they're usually pretty good at knowing how to spend it. And
Right.
not only that, it can boost the local economy in ways that you're not even aware of. So
Well, and just the hypothesis of waste, right? Like the hypothesis that people are going to be wasteful of it. When people are actually struggling for income and struggling for their basic needs, they're not going to get income and then just go blow it on an Xbox, right? It's about returning it into productivity and disabusing ourselves of the notion of the wasteful poor, which I think has
yes,
been something
exactly. That
is
getting away from that stereotype.
yeah, like
And this is based on
yeah,
science, on studies. It's on
exactly.
research. It's
Exactly.
a data-driven information.
The mathematics and the science behind this proves that that whole notion of sort of hierarchical classicism is fundamentally flawed. And instead, productivity and investment in growth works across all levels of income.
Now,
Just,
yeah, and it's a big test case, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Usually, these income programs have been to date funded by private philanthropic organizations.
mhm.
So, a city-funded program like this will be an interesting proof of concept
Yeah.
if this is going to make a better, more just redistribution of wealth, which actually really does rise all boats. It's sort of that trickle up economics as opposed to trickle down. And to see how it works in Los Angeles will be very interesting.
Yeah.
Garcetti is co chair of Mayors for a Guaranteed Income, which is a group that advocates for this kind of a solution, the guaranteed income or UBI, Universal Basic Income, and to see if this is really a way to break the persistent poverty cycles which have plagued so many
Hmm. Hmm.
families and households through the generations. So this will be very interesting. So that's why I'm highlighting it, just because I'm curious to see where it goes. It's not yet known, and it might be that it's still in testing.
Yes.
but I think it's a great solution that I definitely want to highlight.
Well, there are other great solutions today on the Optimist Daily, including 15 healthy, longer lasting staples to keep in your kitchen. That is part of our Healthy Kitchens theme for this Earth Week. 5 ways to read more, even with a busy schedule. I feel like that's Amelia reminding us all to keep reading. Remember, going to sleep better when you read. 7 eco-conscious ways to unclog your sink. Wait, you mean pouring bleach down it isn't a good plan?
Maybe not.
Ireland to replace its last coal plant with renewable energy hub. What else, Kristy?
There's a headline that reads 10 eco-friendly kitchen appliances to make your home greener. Again, with our Healthy Kitchens Week. Solar-powered smart farm harnesses water from the air to irrigate plants. This floating hotel generates its own clean energy by rotating nonstop. And don't toss that. How to cook with nutritious food scraps. That is it for today's headlines on the optimistdaily.com. Go check them all out, read the articles, see there's more you can explore out there. But thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the Optimist Daily Update today. We promise to keep sharing these positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in the changing world and help ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to keep covering current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offering you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
And if you have the means, please consider becoming an emissary on the optimistdaily.com. We are supported by our readers. Our readers who support us are called our emissaries, in case you were confused on that. They, for just $5 a month, some for $15 and $50, support reader-funded independent journalism. You can be part of the solution-changing consciousness in addressing our world's biggest challenges with a problem-solving mindset. Help us keep the Optimist Daily free to all who need it, supported by those who can. Thanks, everybody. Have a great hump day.